All right, let's talk about one of humanity's oldest obsessions, immortality. But forget everything you think you know. Forget living forever in this body. What if you could actually become immortal right now? Today, we're diving into a text that lays out the 3 steps to immortality. Right off the bat, the source material just flips the whole idea on its head. It asks us to stop thinking about immortality as some sci-fi dream of endless years, and instead to see it as a quality of mind, a state of being that's accessible to us right here, right now. The text claims it has the map, so let's follow it. So before we can even think about becoming an immortal, the text says we have to get really honest about where we're starting from, the regular old human condition. We need to look at the 2 sides of the coin. Okay, on the left, we've got the human column. It's a list of things like worry, anxiety, pain, desire. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's pretty much the default setting for most of us. But then look at the right, at the immortal column. Happiness, freedom, spontaneous joy, a mind that's totally unattached. The argument here is that these aren't just different moods, they are 2 totally different ways of existing.
And here's the big idea. This isn't just some abstract philosophy. The source says there's an actual, practical 3-step path you can walk to get from the left column over to the right. A bridge from the human condition to the immortal state.
And here is that very path laid out for us. It's 3 clear stages. First, you make the journey from suffering to happiness. Second, you move beyond just being attached to things and find pure joy. And finally, you take the ultimate leap from the regular thinking mind to a state of bliss. Let's start with step 1. Step 1 is the absolute foundation for everything else. It's all about making a conscious, deliberate shift in your fundamental state of being. Now, the first step, it sounds almost deceptively simple, right? The text says you have to consciously decide to just leave behind that whole world of negativity, all the worry, the pain, the fear, and instead choose to live in a state of happiness and freedom. It's not about a long, hard fight. It's presented as a fundamental choice you make about how you want to experience reality. This quote really puts it bluntly. It says, if you are always in a state of joy, you've already done it. You've crossed that line from human to immortal. That's the first huge transformation. But, of course, the journey goes deeper. Let's get into step 2. So step 2 takes us from the outside in. It goes beyond just feeling happy and starts to look at the actual machinery of the mind itself. This is all about getting to a state of non-attachment. At the heart of step 2 is this phrase, sinwu sochu, sinwu kwa ai. It basically means your mind abides nowhere and has no attachments. Think of it like this. Your mind becomes like a river that just flows around rocks instead of getting stuck on them. It's always present, always moving, never getting snagged by worries or desires. And the result of having this unattached mind is a totally new kind of feeling called yu-yue. Now, this isn't the same as the happiness from step 1. No, this is a much deeper, more spontaneous delight that just kind of bubbles up on its own because your mind is free. It's joy without needing a reason. And that brings us to the final step, the very pinnacle of this entire journey. This is described as the highest state of existence you can possibly reach. The concept here is wuxin, which translates to no mind. Now, this doesn't mean your brain just shuts off. It means you've gone beyond the constant chatter of your inner monologue, like achieving a perfect flow state. You start acting from your true nature with this effortless perfection, and you become incredibly sensitive to the world around you. And this is where the text makes its most extraordinary claim. It says that when you achieve this no-mind state, you unlock exactly 64 different supernatural abilities. Yeah, it's a very specific number, and it takes this whole thing from philosophy into something else. And the emotional peak of this whole experience, it's called ji-lei, which means ultimate bliss. This is described as a life of just infinite flexibility, where you're totally free from the normal rules of the physical body, and maybe even time itself. This is it, the complete realization of the immortal state. So after this incredible 3-step journey to the top of the mountain, the source brings it all right back down to earth. And it all comes down to a final, personal question. See, this isn't just some cool idea. It's meant to be a practical framework for your life.
So in the end, this whole thing completely redefines what immortality even is. It's not some far-off goal, it's a ladder of inner states that you can start climbing right now. You can see it as different levels, from a life of consistent happiness to a life of spontaneous joy, and all the way up to a life of ultimate bliss. And so the text leaves us with this one direct and very personal challenge. The path is laid out, it's simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. The only question left is the one it asks you directly. Can you do it? That's a powerful thought to set with. Thanks for tuning in.